So Lou Dobbs brought Eric Prince, the founder of Blackwater, on his show. And Prince was hinting and implying that, hey, give us a contract to fight the war in Syria and Afghanistan. And we all know how much Trump watches Fox News, so Prince knows he has a direct line to the president here and a direct audience in Trump. He's done this before on Fox and Friends in the morning, where he made an even more detailed pitch on it. There was an ad for Blackwater recently in a Guns and Ammunition magazine that said, "We are coming," which leads me to believe there are plans to potentially privatize the war in Syria and Afghanistan, which is worse than even just keeping it as is. Trump says he's going to withdraw, but he might send some private mercenary army folks led by Eric Prince in there, and we'll see what happens. But here he is making the case yet again to Trump on Lou Dobbs' show. Take a look.
Joining me tonight, Eric Prince. He's the executive director, deputy chairman of Frontier Services Group, also a retired Navy SEAL officer, also the founder of the global private security company Blackwater. And Eric, it's great to have you with us. I want to begin, if we may, with first the reports that we are watching the withdrawal of at least some of our forces in Syria, and your reaction and your thoughts about the president's decision to withdraw those troops.
Look, I think it's totally appropriate that the president made good on his campaign promise to try to end these forever wars. The United States doesn't have a long-term strategic obligation to stay in Syria, but I also think it's not a good idea to abandon our allies, and the Kurds and the Syrian Democratic Forces that are there without U.S. forces providing them a little top cover will be smashed by the Iranians and the Syrians. So I think it's a perfect an analogy, really, to 1940, where Japan had invaded China, were bombing the heck out of their cities, and the United States wanted to help them, but couldn't have U.S. ground troops involved, so they allowed the Flying Tigers to form, which was a private organization, a private company. Army, Air Force, Marine pilots took leave of their service, went to work for the private company, and defended China against Japanese aggression. The Syrian Democratic Forces.
Do you think that's the analog in Syria then? Effectively a private force there to protect the Kurds primarily?
If there is not some kind of robust capability to defend from a ground invasion from the very conventional power that the Iranians and the Syrians have, our allies there will be smashed.
Oh, man. Fox News is such a hack partisan organization. I mean, they're really just doing the bidding of this private mercenary army guy here. That's what it is. They're letting him pitch his argument directly to the president in an attempt to privatize these wars. They're supposed to hold, the media is supposed to hold people in power accountable. What they're doing is just the bidding of an elite here. And by the way, Prince is related to Betsy DeVos, the education secretary, who's also a Christian fundamentalist and is terrible and has made our education system significantly worse, and is in favor of rampant privatization, runs in the family, and also, again, teaching fundamentalist Christian ideas. So this is like just a circle jerk of elites with money and power coming up with new ways to destroy our country and fuck up the world. And again, this new one is, I'm just going to keep begging President Trump endlessly and repeatedly to allow me, Eric Prince, to take over the war in Syria and Afghanistan. And what? Me? No, it's out of necessity. I mean, come on, to see what you do is you allow the private military forces in there, and then we take care of everything. And well, I mean, the Kurds, what about the Kurds? I care about the Kurds, bro. I care so deeply about the Kurds, bro. No, you don't. They're just going to use this as an excuse to stay there forever because these contracts are super lucrative. If you haven't seen the documentary yet, Iraq for Sale, The War Profiteers, go watch that documentary and go watch it right now. Like, X out this video and go watch it right now. Because it's amazing. It shows you how Smedley Butler was right, war's a racket. And Eisenhower was right as well. Also, go watch the documentary Why We Fight. Watch that one too. Dwight Eisenhower famously spoke about the military-industrial complex and how a lot of people get rich from war, so they want to perpetuate war endlessly. That's the thing that's going to happen, and that's what did happen. And now it's gotten to the point where things that we used to view as off the table and part of the commons, like the military, Now we're talking about privatizing that. And when you privatize that, it's a for-profit entity. So you have a guy who leads this for-profit mercenary army who's a Christian fundamentalist, and they're getting rich as they go around the world and fight wars that the U.S. government has declared. What a terrible incentive. Even on the fundamentalist Christian thing alone, how you have a fundamentalist Christian mercenary army in a majority Muslim land, that's terrible right up front. But then when you add in the fucking profit motive, are you kidding me? What a perverse, backwards, disgusting, broken system we have. So Trump better not let this guy do what he wants to do, but I fear he will do that. Only time will tell.